Have you ever wondered what happened to the treasures of the temple when Jerusalem was conquered by the Romans nearly 2,000 years ago? A new book called The Copper Scroll Project gives some clues about what could be the biggest treasure find in history. We talked with the author, Shelley Neese, in our studio. Well, Shelley, welcome to Jerusalem Dateline.
Thanks
you for being here. You've written the Copper Scroll Project. It's been a long-term project. Why did you write it?
Originally, I met Jim Barfield. He's the explorer who's in the book. I met him in a conference and I decided to just write one story about this explorer kind of on this amazing quest. That was back in 2009. It was just in the beginning. And so that one article turned into another article, and then eventually things just evolved so much that I realized I actually had a book on my hands. So there's so much that just out the gate, a lot of people who have never heard of the Copper Scroll, I feel like there's a lot of skepticism around what the Copper Scroll even is. But we know that the Copper Scroll, all scholars agree that it's an authentic document that points to
treasure of the temple, right?
Right. Well, so this Copper Scroll itself doesn't use a lot of temple words, except for we know that it's such copious amounts of gold and silver and talents that it suggests that it could only be connected to the temple treasury. There wouldn't have been any other place that would have had that kind of wealth. And then in certain places, the Copper Scroll does use words like sanctified or vessels a couple of times, and once priestly vestments. I'm haunted by the Copper Scroll. I'm haunted by the idea of it. And so that's the thing. Once I started studying the Copper Scroll, I just couldn't kind of kill that hope that there might still be part of the temple treasury out there.
Now found in one of the caves near Qumran.
Exactly. So the Copper Scroll was one of the few times it was found in Cave 3. As you know, after 1948, archaeologists in Bedouin were racing the clock against each other to find more Dead Sea Scroll caves. The black market was being flooded with Dead Sea Scroll fragments, Dead Sea Scrolls less fragmentary. In this particular case, it was archaeologists that found it. It was led by a French explorer, a French archaeologist, with other Bedouins working on the team. And really, they found Cave 3, and it was kind of a depressing situation because it was the cave wall or the cave roof had collapsed in antiquity, destroying most of the scroll jars that were inside the cave, which were several. And therefore, the scrolls were just in fragments. Some of them were in rat nest in the cave. I mean, really in a dilapidated state. It took about 10 days to excavate Cave 3. In the last few hours of that last day, they noticed what looked to be another niche or another part of the multi-chamber complex. And they decide to chip through this one barricade. And turns out, I mean, almost like a false wall to a castle secret chamber, behind it, a man-made shelf, and on it rested the Copper Scroll.
Which was unlike many of the other scrolls, correct? Since it was copper and...
Definitely.
Yeah.
It really, not only unique to the Dead Sea Scroll collection, but there is no other ancient metal document like it anywhere.
And contained sort of like X marks the spot kind of information.
Exactly. It is a treasure map. It's a verbal treasure map. So 12 columns, over 60 locations. You're getting very specific directions. You know, it'll read like in the valley under the ruins, dig here, and you'll find 17 talents. So it's giving all of these very architectural details that if you're looking for biblical commentary or one of the books of the Bible or how the Essenes lived, you're not going to find it in the Copper Scroll. To me, what's most interesting about the Copper Scroll is speculating who wrote it. How did they get these treasures out of the temple and manage to hide them? You know, so to me, just doing a little background research on the origins of the Copper Scroll has just informed my own faith so much in terms of what first century Jerusalem looked like. I really feel like Christians and Jews, I mean, the more we learn about first century Jerusalem and the different sects and what was going on and the political pressures, the more that we can understand our own faiths as well.
How did that feed your faith and fuel your faith?
Partially just putting me in the context of the world that Jesus was walking in, and probably even closer, the world that John the Baptist was walking in. And also the Essenes, you know, they really felt like they were living in the end times. Right. And so to me, the Copper Scroll really, it puts meat on those bones, because here we are these temple priests that have somehow managed to have this covert operation of bringing temple treasures, secreting them out of the temple, knowing that the Romans are about to destroy it. And so it just is able to put me in that time and place of, here are these people who felt such a dramatic shift was about to happen in the world that they were willing to risk this operation.
How has this affected your faith?
tremendously. I mean, for one, it brings me to Israel a lot, so that's always beneficial for any of our faiths. But I can't even tell you, so much of Israel is Israel's history, Israel's modern history, its wars, what it's going through now, is getting to see God's hand at work in the world today. So it's getting to see almost as if we're having new chapters of the Bible written before us.
What do you want people to take away from this book?
I want people to learn about first century Jerusalem, about Judaism, about Christianity, and really bring them back to that place of birth of their own faith. And that's what I want. I want them to just see their own faith through a new lens and for it to be a teaching tool for them.
Well, Shelley, congratulations on this. It's been great to be with you. It's a fascinating story.
It's an honor to be here.
Alpha, Omega.